You guys, oh my gosh, she's engaged. A fiance, going to be a wife. If you're catching me on YouTube right now, I'm just flailing my ring hand all in the camera because I am so excited to do a full story time on this proposal because it is so iconic. And I was just so absolutely shocked and dumbfounded. But I'm going to tell you guys how my freaking psychic brain almost accidentally ruined my engagement. And you guys get the story time first. AGU listeners just get the tea first. Eventually, I'll share this on my main page, but I had to share it here first. And as always, I'm on YouTube. If you're new here, what's up? I am Anna Grace Newell. I am the professor and founder here at AG University, which is a school from the cosmos, a school to connect you with your intuition, which will ultimately connect you with your highest timeline, your soul's purpose. Welcome. All of the work that I do here is based in the Akashic Records. If you're not familiar, it is what people know as angel readings. So I do a lot of angel channeling in the angel realm. I'm a clairvoyant medium and an intuitive guide. So, first and foremost, bless Austin's sweet little heart trying to fool me. That was all he wanted. He wanted me to be so shocked and so surprised. But he's like, "You are so intuitive. It is actually annoying." He didn't say annoying, but I'm sure he was like, "How am I going to trick her?" And so I'm going to tell you the whole story of how it went down. And also, I'm going to give you guys a lot of synchronicities, starting with, okay, the first level of the story. Like, we have had so many magical synchronicities this trip since I've been out here thus far. Austin came out the first week. I'm in LA for basically the whole month of October. I'm doing some AG University activations, and he came out for the first week for what he was telling me was a football game. He wanted to go to a football game and come out here with me. Little did I know he was planning to propose also, but we'll get to that. So I'm out here doing a lot of events. I have just a lot of moving parts and pieces happening right now with AG University. Super exciting stuff. If you guys are not following AG University podcast, I've been sharing kind of behind the scenes of some of the massive up leveling and also massive leaps of faith that I am taking. So I wanted you guys to know that I don't sit on this mic and just tell you guys to do the hard, scary things. I'm also doing the hard, scary things, and I am truly in the midst of doing those things. And so I don't even have the final product to share it with you guys, but I can't wait to tell you how it all turns out. But that's just a little friendly reminder. If you were listening, there are going to be moments where you're going to have to jump off of a cliff and trust that you can fly. And I am currently running and I'm about to just take a leap. And I'm saying, girl, you better hop on a unicorn and fly away because all bets are off. So anyways, it's basically a work trip. Also wanted to come out on the front end. And first this was like one little instance that I had. This wasn't so much as a synchronicity, and I'll kind of break down synchronicity too as just a thought process that I had, and I can't explain it, but it was just like such a stream of consciousness of showing me two paths that I could have taken in my life and how each path still brought me back to Austin. And I wanted to tell you guys this because I think it's a really good representation of the how what's meant for you won't miss you thing. So back in 2020, I had a major era where I was being cast heavily onto reality TV, and all of my friends had been on reality TV pretty much. I was not opposed to it, but I wanted to do it if it made sense for me or if it felt really aligned. And I was single at the time, so I was always being cast as the fun single friend for dating shows. And I actually got cast all the way through the final, basically needed to sign the dotted line for Love Island, the US version. And like I said, this was back in 2019 or 2020. It was entering pandemic. I don't think we had entered shutdown. So it was somewhere around there. I'm so bad with timelines per always. Anyways, I get cast onto the show, and this was my third dating show that I had been cast onto. And I'm like, maybe I should just do it. I'm single, I'm living alone. The world's in a weird place. Why not? Whatever. I actually have an entertainment attorney that's on my staff or team. And she was like, you know what, Anna Grace, I don't think this is really a good fit for you. She basically was kind of like, I don't really feel comfortable signing this contract the way it is. And she's a baddie. She's pretty tough on me, but I kind of like it. I kind of like when some people just shoot me straight, and you're like, ooh, you're scary. I like it. She pretty much was like, no, but you do whatever you want to do. And I was like, my gut was like, I don't really want to do this. I know I'm not actually going to find love. And I'd been single for like many years of my 20s. So that's another thing we'll talk about too on like manifesting your partner. I'm 30. If you guys, for some reason, don't know my age, I'm 30 and Austin's 35. And we both spent several years of our 20s being single. So I can kind of talk some more about that if you guys want to hear more about relationship and finding your person. Anywho, so I'm being cast back to back and I'm like, is this like a sign from the universe? Should I take it? Should I not? I ended up deciding like if I do reality TV one day, I want to do it in a way that's helpful or, more positive and uplifting versus like making out with, people on Love Island. I don't even, I'm not dogging Love Island. I think it's a pretty cool show. And I say that because Austin, one of his family members, just to protect everyone's identity, I'm not going to say any names, but she works on the show and she's got a really high up position. And I had this moment where we were walking down. She's works for a network. Sorry, not just Love Island. She does way more than that. And I'm like, I don't want to undersell her career role, but I also just want to protect everybody's identity because I didn't tell them I was telling this story. But I just feel like when I get on the mic and I'm alone, I can tell you guys everything. And I'm like, then I forget how many people listen to my podcast. And I'm like, whoops, I don't know if I should have said that. No, but this is all good. I don't think anybody would really care. So we're out here visiting Austin's cousin who is dating this person who works with a network and has like a really, really amazing job. And she's also a baddie. Love her. So I had this moment where I was walking with Austin and I was like, and she's like head production on Love Island currently, but does like a ton of other stuff too. And I was like, oh my gosh, I had this like, I can't explain it. It was like this very profound moment. We were walking and I like stopped and I was like, whoa. Like I felt like I saw two timelines of my life. And Austin and I are just like walking down the street holding hands. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just had this like crazy vision that like, even if I had gone on the show, I would have like become connected with this woman who I'm talking about who's dating Austin's cousin and I still would have met you and ended up with you. Like, even if I had chosen to go on the show, which I actually don't feel was in alignment with me and I don't regret not going. I just, that's not how if I ever go on TV, I could see me doing something different, like what I'm doing now. But that just wasn't how I saw it. But the universe was showing me that, like, even if I had gone, this is exactly how I would have been connected right back to Austin. Like his cousin was dating the person who's in charge of the show. Like, it just goes to show you that this is just really an example of how no matter what, even if I had decided maybe not to go on the show that season, but the next season, there was still a direct link right back to Austin. Like it was just, they were just showing me that like no matter what, there's no wrong turns. This is kind of like the translation. There's no wrong turns. There's no wrong path. Like it's just a different route. You're still going to get to where you're meant to go. And it was just really comforting in those moments. Like I don't get anxiety over choices or decisions anymore. I'm actually I'm incredibly decisive now because I check in with my intuition and I just make a decision. And I know that even if there's no right or wrong decision, I'm just going to take a different route. I'm just going to take a different path. I'm going to learn something. There's probably going to be a lesson that I have to learn and go through. But ultimately, I will always end up back with my person, which for me is Austin. But it's just such a good, tangible way to show you, like, you guys, right before I met Austin, I could have gone on this dating show. I could have been like, yeah, this makes sense. All my friends are on reality TV. Why not? I've been cast. They're asking me to go. They're telling me to sign the contract. Like, why not? But I was just like, nah. But the universe was showing me, like, it's okay. Even if you had gone, you still would have ended up right back here with Austin. Like, this is your direct link. And I just wanted you guys to know that take the pressure off of yourself. There's no wrong decision that you're going to make. You're not going to like absolutely just bomb it and that was your one shot. That's not how the universe works. Like I truly believe that God is always just kind of nudging us. It's like if a bowling ball was rolling down the aisle and there's bumpers. It's like you're going to hit one bumper and you kind of go the other and you're just kind of bumping back and forth. Eventually, we will hit the pins. I'm not a good bowler. That might have been a terrible analogy, but you get what I'm saying. Like we just might take a different route and it's okay. So if you're finding yourself today anxious about finding your path, your purpose, your passion, your mission, whatever it is, there's no wrong path and all paths still lead to where you're meant to be. Your soul's purpose is not going to just slip away from you. Okay. And for the first, 20 years of my life, I was completely living absolutely out of alignment. Couldn't have been further away from my soul's purpose, was absolutely not looking. And then bam, still found me in a kind of dramatic way, but it found me and I'm here. Okay. So Everything's going to find you, and everything that's meant for you will not miss you. So I don't know. I had that like profound like vision of seeing my life going in many different ways, but every single way ended up with me back with Austin. And this was actually before he proposed when I had those thoughts. So even that was like kind of a sweet synchronicity. Another synchronicity that we had. So, for those of you guys who don't know how Austin and I met, that's a whole long story. I don't want to break it down on this episode because I'm sure a bunch of people have already heard it, but you can check it out on my YouTube. There's a How I Met My Boyfriend video, and it's me and Austin talking about how we met if you're super curious. And in the meantime, so we have this inside joke about the Spice Girls. The first time he saw me, he thought I was Baby Spice, and I was with Shannon, who has red hair, and Taylor, who obviously kind of looks like Posh Spice. And so they were like, "Oh my gosh, it's the Spice Girls!" So they were all calling us the Spice Girls, Austin and his friend, and that was kind of how he like made his move on me. So we have like this deep, like he's always called me Baby Spice. We have like a Spice Girls reference for everything, and he will always be like, "Oh my gosh, is that the Spice Girls?" But he's like talking about like me, Shannon, Taylor, like my friend. So he's just like being silly. Austin is actually really funny. He's very camera shy. And if you want to get him on the podcast, like he turns into like very like serious and professional. He's like actually so funny though. But so I'm trying to pull that side out of him. So anyways, we are walking to get matcha one morning, and he's like, wait a minute, is it the Spice Girls? And I'm like, babe, that joke, you're just really, really, that one's getting old, I'm like, and he's like, no, I'm serious. Is that the Spice Girls? Because we're like walking to get matcha, and Live Nation is out front with like tour buses that have just like these little tiny signs on them. They're not like big. So I don't know how Austin saw them. I would have never in my life noticed, but it was legitimately, each bus was labeled. There was like scary, sporty, ginger, baby, posh, and everyone's been talking right now. According to my story, everyone said that the Spice Girls have reunited, and there was some event here that actually really could have been the Spice Girls. We didn't see them, but it was through Live Nation, and it was like a legitimate. We're staying in West Hollywood too, so there's a lot of celebrities and people out here. So I was just like, even if we didn't physically see them, it was so crazy that I'm like, oh my gosh, what are the odds that like that's our whole origin story, and then it's like we had this full circle moment, like seeing the Spice Girls in Austin. That this was like I think this was the day before he proposed. So it was just like funny little like I call that a synchronicity, a little wink from the universe. I had the craziest synchronicity with my Airbnb too. I think I'm gonna hold that for the next episode. But it was another one that I was like, wait, what is going on? This is actually like so not a coincidence. It's insane. Okay, so the synchronicities were flowing. Me, it's just thinking, oh, this is great. Like, this is an alignment. I'm meant to be here, blah, blah, blah. I don't know anything about the engagement. I'm just like, yay, the universe is sending me so many signs. This is crazy. Like, I never get this many back to back to back to back. And so I wanted to just touch on synchronicity a little bit. Synchronicity is when basically it's almost like two events are syncing up. It's like if we were to have timeline overlaps. It's almost the same feeling as deja vu. You're like, did this happen before? There's like this future version of you that's confirming that you're on the right path. This like future version of you is like lining up with your current timeline and sending you. And the message of the Akashic Records is always like harmony. Like, so when you see a synchronicity of something, you're like, I can't even make this up. Can you believe that I just saw this and this? Like, what a crazy coincidence. It's like, no. That's a synchronicity. And the word that they always translate that to in the Akashic Records, whenever I ask, is like harmony. It's when your timelines are perfectly aligned with where you're meant to be. And it's showing you, it's signifying harmony. Like that's the word I always see is like harmony. Like you are in harmony with what you're supposed to be doing. So I thought that was just a good little word to put because I like the word harmony. I'm like, I love that. So, okay, I'm going to start getting into the proposal. And this really goes way back on because a lot of people are like, I want to know how you knew this was your person. And when I was living in my old house in Nashville, this was right when I met Austin. So this is in 2021. This was the first time. I don't even really know. I think I've told Austin this. Who knows? I've told him so many visions at this point. I think they just all blur into one. But for me, it's like they're so strong and vivid and profound. I had a vision of Austin. I was doing a reading for someone else. I opened the Akashic Records and I wasn't with a person though. I was doing some work, some prep work. And so I opened the Akashic Records and I like immediately had this crazy vivid vision of me floating in the ocean, which keep in mind, guys, I was living in Nashville at the time. I had no idea I was about to move to Florida. Floating in the ocean. I was pregnant in the vision and Austin was there and he had a ring on his finger. Y'all, I have like seen this man for like a month. like 2 months. And I was like, whoa. I just like dropped into this timeline where I was like, oh shit. So it was kind of crazy because I don't typically get visions like that. And also it's kind of a like funny thing to always tell people, like, I don't like fantasize about being pregnant. I mean, I think pregnancy is beautiful and amazing, but if I were to drop into a meditation, I'm not like visualizing myself pregnant, you know? So I just thought it was oddly specific. And also like I wasn't in this place where I'm like, I can't wait to have his babies. Like I barely knew him. He was coaching, he was super busy. So that was just how I knew that the vision was so vivid. And I was like, oh shit. Okay. Wow. Like there's really something here with this guy. And I'm so glad. I feel like the universe gave me that vision because we did have a lot of time apart where I feel like if I didn't have such strong intuition of like, he's worth it, just wait, just be patient. Because he was coaching, he was working 100 hours a week. He lived an hour away from me. We rarely got to see each other. And I was just betting on, I'm like, you know what? I just believe in him. I feel like there's something there. And he said he always felt that way about me. I mean, he's actually been so unwavering about me from the moment we met. The first message he sent me was, let me know when you're ready to start a family. Dead ass. He was like, I'm going to marry you. So he's always been unwavering. But for me, it was just hard to start a relationship with such difficult environment. And there was just so many moving parts with both of our lives. And so I just had this feeling. I was like, I'm going to make it work no matter what. Even if I get to see him, I got to see him one night a week on Thursdays for 2 hours. That was it. So, you're like, you hardly know me and I hardly know you when you see someone that few and far between. But I just kept trusting my intuition and I just kept following the path. I even moved to Clarksville for a little bit because I was like, I want to make this work. And he was always like, absolutely. His schedule just sucked. It wasn't really his fault. But anyways, so I have that vision. Okay. So that's like I'm actually really glad. Sometimes I don't like I say, I don't like to look for too many visions because I know the universe is going to show me exactly what I need. So that was one that I just remember around Austin and like marriage and all the things. So I knew and then there's been a million other beautiful, amazing experiences. That was just like very, very early on in our relationship, where I'm like, I cannot wait for you to be my husband. Like he's just like and also I love that he's the best dad too. Like I love his dad energy. There's just so many things about him that I love. And I've always known that he's my person and we're going to get married and this is my path. But I never had any inkling of a timeline. I really didn't. And I never really looked because I just knew it was going to happen. I don't know. I wasn't like worried about it. So when we were living in our last house, which was I've moved so many times. I don't even know why I'm telling you guys which house. Right when we moved to Ponte Vedra, the first house that we moved into, Austin had gone ring shopping. And so he went ring shopping. He didn't tell me actually. And after like a few months after going ring shopping, he was like, I really wanted to try to surprise you, but there's so many rings and I didn't even know what shape. Like he kind of got in there and the people asked him a couple questions and he was like, I literally don't know what you're saying. Like Austin is such a man's man. He is just a dude, which I love that about him. But he's like a clarity, he's like, oh no, I don't know. He's like, this is too much. So he told me, he was like, I really just want you to like give me some guidance or have some kind of input or, something. And for like months, you guys, I really wasn't even sure what I wanted. And also I told him, I was like, we'd been together for, I don't even know, maybe it was like a year and a half when we moved. Either way, I told him, I was like, listen, we're both changing careers. We're both moving to a new state. We're doing the most. Every part of our life is changing. Like, I'm not worried. Like, I know you want to propose since I just like moved to Florida to be with you. And I appreciate that. But let's do it when we feel a little more settled and we can really celebrate. Cause we were not in like a celebration mode because we just had to, we just had to deal with what was going on immediately in front of us in our life at that moment. And I was like, I want to have some time and space and like have a house and like feel a little settled. So I was just like, yeah, I'm not rushing. Don't rush. It's good. Like, the time will be perfect. So falling asleep that night or one night when we were living in our old house, I had a vision seeing my ring and it was a cluster. So a cluster is essentially just a cluster of stones in a ring. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's it. It's a star cluster. Like I knew I wanted it to be something very cosmic and very celestial. And if you guys haven't seen the ring, it's all over my social media. I'm so sorry. I just went ham on posting engagement content. I had to. It was just, I was so excited. I was exploding. Anyways, I saw the cluster and I was like, that's it. That is it. Because anytime I would go look at any jewelry, I was like, I don't know. I want something that is unique and something that has a lot of meaning to me. And so this just goes to show you how the universe just continued to show up for me and make everything so perfect. Once I set that intention, I think that the purpose is that I wasn't hyper fixated on the outcome. I was giving a lot of room for creative input from the universe. And so I just was like, oh, a star cluster. I love that. So Austin knew my whole pretty much jewelry collection has been made by a jeweler in like I don't know if you guys remember, I used to always wear this azurite malachite pendant. It had a bird on it. It was blue. You've definitely seen it. There was like 2 years where I didn't take it off once. And I wore, honestly, the only reason I took it off because it got swept away in the ocean. I'm still sick about it, but I can't talk about that. Anyways, is a family friend of mine named Lori Bartholomew, jewelers in Memphis, who made it for me. And she's made all my cuffs. She's made me this beautiful onyx mermaid cuff. She's a true, like, I don't even know what you call her, like a silversmith. Like she's back there making things. Like she's always like her hands are always like dirty and like she gives like mad scientist vibes with jewelry, but I love it. She works with crystals and stones, and she's just so good at what she does. And we also just adore her. She's like, her and her husband both work at Bartholomew. Big shout out to them. But also, just to tell everyone, I'm like, this is not a collaboration. Austin 100% bought the ring. It's like being an influencer. Everyone thinks people will like give you a free engagement ring. And I'm like, no, I just want to support a small business. So I'm like, RIP to Austin's wallet. Sorry. I did have a vision that needed to be executed. So my dad actually had two stones, two diamonds that were left to me by my grandfather who actually passed away before I was born. And so that came into play later after I decided like a cluster because I was actually thinking of maybe doing like a gemstone or a crystal or something with Austin's birthstone, something with mine. I was open. I was like, it doesn't have to all be diamonds because I wanted to be like conscientious of what I was asking of Austin. I'm like, I need 9 diamonds in this star cluster. He's like, well, shit. No. So my dad's like, oh my gosh, I have these two stones. Your grandfather would absolutely love for you to have them. He's passed. I never even got to meet him, but it was such a cool way to honor, my dad's side of the family in the ring. And then my mom ends up finding what will be my wedding band, these beautiful bands that we're going to have kind of combined all together. And it's 5 generations of my grandmothers on my mom's side. And that's like my intuitive kind of medium witchy side. So it's like a really cool balance of all of my families into what I'll be wearing as like my engagement ring and then obviously wedding band too. So it's just like that was such a unexpected caveat and twist. So with that being said, Austin's like, okay, well now that we have some pieces from your family, I want you to at least kind of have some say in it. And that's where I was like, who's going to do this? Lori. Lori knows me. She's been making my jewelry forever. She'll know what to do. So months ago, this was like back in like May or June, and it's like October now. My mom was the one that was like, I'm going to draw the rings. My mom's an artist. She's really cool. So my mom and Lori both drew up the ring. And I just kind of said I wanted a cluster and gave them like a little bit of direction, but they just like took it and they brought it to life. They really did. Obviously, Austin had the final say on everything, but it was really cool because I was still so surprised, like not knowing anything about the ring or like what it looked like. I had a little bit of an inkling, but not, I didn't know what it was going to actually look like when it was done. So that was many months ago. Well, randomly back in like August, Austin was like, let's do Thanksgiving with your family this year. And I knew, I was like, that's because he has to get the ring in Memphis because all of this was in Memphis. He did not want it shipped. He was like, and I didn't know when else he was going to like see my family. He had to ask for my dad's permission. And then like, why in August is he just randomly like, let's do Thanksgiving with your family this year? And I was like, okay, yeah, because my sister's about to have a baby. So I was going to go anyways. And he's like, no, me and Zane are going to come with you. I was like, okay, yeah, yeah. Like my family would love that. Please do. And I was stoked that we would all be together and with my family because, it's kind of hard when you live in totally different states, Tennessee and Florida. So we try to make the rounds. So, anyways, in my head, I am convinced. I'm like, Austin is going to get the ring in November. I bet he proposes sometimes around the holidays. It's perfect. So that was like one thing that I'm like, this is the timeline. I was just sure of it. So that leads us into, of course, I knew I was going to be getting engaged sometime soon-ish. And I knew, a little bit about some of the details of the ring, but it was all pretty vague. And I really was like, oh, he'll get it in November. I don't know. I was just so nonchalant about it. I know there are a lot of people that are like dead set on like, I need to be engaged. I think they just get really excited about planning a wedding, which I totally get. But to me, honestly, wedding planning sounds kind of intense. Not that I'm so excited to marry Austin, but like I could also totally be convinced to elope. I'm one of those people that I'm like, ooh, because I just really want it to stay about me and Austin. But my mom is like, of course, wants to do a whole wedding and all the things. So I haven't been in a super hurry to start wedding planning because my life has been so hectic. I know that sounds so crazy, but maybe that's why I haven't put any pressure on him or really any pressure on the ethers. Like I don't like ask my guides like when am I going to get engaged, you know? But now in hindsight, there was like so many signs that he was about to propose and I think that the universe glamored me into just not seeing like Austin really wanted me to be surprised and that was it. My only kind of like secret vision that I had for this, which was really not anything, was that I wanted it to be just me and Austin. I told him, I was like, I don't care if you have to like, I don't want him to stress about having to assemble all of my family and friends because I have so many people. I was like, it can just be me and you. We can do an engagement party later. Like, don't worry about like also planning a surprise party for me. You know, I think at some point it can be kind of overwhelming. I was like, I want you to propose when it feels good to you when it's me and you. And I just always kind of saw us being near the ocean because we're such ocean babies. Okay, back to the part about there were so many signs. I got sidetracked for a second. That was kind of my thought about it all. But before we left to go to California, he was like, "You haven't had any color on your nails in so long," because my nails had gotten super duper chipped from getting gel too much. And so I was like in my natural girl era. I completely stopped getting my nails done for like 2 or 3 months just so they could like heal and get a little bit stronger. And I was just like cutting them really short and just trying to get them healthy. So I hadn't gotten my nails done in forever. And normally I always have my nails done, but I did not have them done. And he said that. And I remember kind of going, it was a weird thing for him to mention my nails. And even in my head, I'm like, but sometimes I don't know. I don't know why he said it, but I was just like, yeah, but I was like, but he doesn't have the ring. So I was like, yeah, I know. Cause I mean, usually I do show him or like I'll let him like pick out my nail color. I'm like, what color? Think of a color in your head. And he'll be like, purple. And I'm like, I was thinking purple too. I'm gonna get purple on my nails. Like I'll do like random stuff like that. So I was like, that was weird. And then when we came out here, the universe was just so on his side for real. I mean, his angel team was helping him out and he didn't even know it. We were walking out to get matcha like every single day. And every single day we pass this beautiful nail salon. So keep in mind, I'm like, this man is like trying so hard to not give anything away, but also he's like trying so hard to get me to get my nails done because they were just bunk. They were like short and just sparse. So we walk by every single day this big, huge, beautiful nail salon going to get matcha. And he just like started like subliminally like being like, oh, he was like, wow, that's a really nice salon they have here. I was like, yeah, it is. Like he would just say stuff and he is really observant like that. Like he will point out everything that's around us. He's very like, look at that bird, look at this, look at that. Like that's just how he is. So I didn't think anything of it. And it was like he did these little things just enough. So finally I was like, I am out here for an event. I should probably get my nails done. And he was kind of like, yeah, I mean, we were kind of killing time. He's like, yeah, I mean, we're just like on our walk home. Like, I could get like a pedicure and wait with you. And I was like, oh yeah, that'd be fun. Let's do that. Like somehow, I don't even really know how he did it, but it's like he didn't say get your nails done. He just sort of pointed at the place or looked that way, and then I just went with it. Maybe I don't know. Maybe my angels were trying to help me out. They're like, girl, my higher self's like, you need your nails done. Trust us. Go into the salon. So I told Austin, like, how did you subliminally get me into the nail salon? So that happens. I think that was actually Sunday, but this was the kicker, you guys. This was the part where I think Austin was so scared about the nail salon. He was so nervous, and this is my favorite part of the whole story. Saturday night, I go to sleep and I have such a sweet dream about Austin. It's like so cute. And he took me to this beautiful cave. And inside the cave, there was all this, like, I don't know, there was all these like little like rocks, and we were surrounded by turquoise water. And he was planning me a surprise. And in the dream, I think truly I knew it was something about a proposal or an engagement. But obviously, I knew it was coming soon. Remember, I'm like, we're going home for Thanksgiving, November. It's approaching, like, of course. So when I woke up the next morning, I didn't want to tell him that I had basically dreamt about a proposal because I was like, I know how badly he wants to surprise me. So I didn't even want to put that into his head. But I woke up and I rolled over and we were like spooning. So he was facing away from me. Like I rolled over and was like hugging his back, right? Because he was already awake and I just woken up. I was like, oh, baby, I just had the sweetest dream. You planned this whole surprise for me. And you took me to this cave and we were surrounded by the most beautiful turquoise water. It was just like such a good dream. And he's like, oh, that's sweet. And that was like all he said. And I was like, well, yeah, whatever. So then later on, we're going to the nail salon. That's when that happens. But I had to tell you guys about the dream because it's very important. So that he gets me to the nail salon. I think somehow the universe just glamored me, and I really wasn't that suspicious. I was kind of suspicious after the dream, but I was like, it's coming soon. So like I knew it was soon anyway. So I was just like, yeah, but not this soon. Cause I'm like, he doesn't have the ring. I kept being like, he doesn't have the ring. So, and like the last time I had talked to my mom, I was like trying to squeeze her for information. And I was like, I don't even think he's asked my dad for permission. And I could tell my mom was like, no, like he hasn't. And so I was like, ugh, he hasn't even asked my dad. And that was like very important to me. So I am convinced it's not happening, even though I've dreamt that he proposes to me and he's taking me to the nail salon. These are just like in hindsight. Now I can tell the story and laugh about it. But he was so, you guys, that day, that afternoon, we were kind of killing time because we'd gone to a football game the day before. So I was absolutely beat. We were cooked out in like 92-degree weather all day. I felt hungover and I don't even drink alcohol. Like, you know, the kind where you're just in the sun all day getting roasted. That's how it was. So it was Sunday and we were having a super chill day. We went and got like a delicious lunch. He was cool as a cucumber. Didn't notice anything about him. We got back to the place, our Airbnb, and I was like, we could go get a little Sunday massage, relax before the week starts. And he was like, yeah, totally. And I looked up some places, I called around, nothing was really available. And there was one that was like 3 or 4, and we had already decided on going to Laguna that night for dinner, and it worked out so perfectly. Like even the people at the nail salon were like, y'all should go to Laguna, there's this restaurant called The Deck. And I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, like everyone was like, you guys should go to Laguna. So it was like somehow Austin didn't even have to convince me. It was like, it was so organic that it was coming from other people, but Austin had planned Laguna all the time. Like I really do feel like this angel energy was working through everybody, because random people were like, y'all should go to this restaurant. Austin was like, yeah, we actually kind of talked about that. We might do that. Like that's how chill he was about it. We're like an hour and 15. We're kind of far from Laguna. So I'm trying to book a massage at one point, and I'm like, well, they can't do one until 4. We could go get a 4 o'clock massage. I was like, babe, we don't have to go to Laguna. I mean, I'm fine. We don't have to. And he was like, no, like we got to go see the ocean. Like, let's get in some nature. We need some grounding. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I cannot believe he didn't freak out. Not me just trying to cancel all his plans. I'm like, no, let's just go get a massage and call it a night. He's like, no, like, let's go. Like, it'll be fun. We can see the sunset. We got a good restaurant recommendation. I was like, yeah, you're right. Okay. So I get ready. He is kind of like being like snippy with me, like telling me to hurry up. And I was like, what are we in a hurry for? Like we don't actually have a reservation. They don't accept reservations. You just have to go and wait. The restaurant's called The Deck in Laguna. It's a really beautiful view if you guys ever go. And so I was like, we're not really in that big of a hurry. Why are you like hurrying me? Poor Austin. I mean, I'm just like, I am hurting a cat. It's just really quite difficult. So we get in the car. I'm putting on my makeup. This random text message does pop up on the screen because we're like in a car that has like a middle navigation system, and it's like a random 501 number. And I'm like, I went to Arkansas, University of Arkansas, and I knew that was an Arkansas number. And I was like, weird. Who is Austin texting from Arkansas? And normally I would have been like, who's that? But for some reason, I was just like, whatever. Also, I really do trust him so much that I'm not like monitoring his text messages, but I was just kind of like, who do you know from Arkansas? But since he has so many coaching friends that are from all over, I just figured it was a coach or a player or someone. He has so many people's like numbers in there that aren't saved. I was like, whatever. I didn't think anything of it. So we pull up, we get to Laguna, we park in like public parking, we walk down to this like really beautiful beach. And as we're walking down, I fortunately, thank God, my higher self had my mother freaking back, put on this really cute Revolve rust colored dress. I was like, oh, this will be cute because it's almost like a swim cover up. And I was like, oh, we're going to the beach. This will be like a good dress, even though once we got there and the sun was setting, it was getting a little chilly. So we're walking down, and I see this girl, she's got on a really cute outfit, and I totally was like checking her out because she was just really cute, and she was kind of waiting in this little spot. She was taking photos of the sunset, and she had a blanket, and I was like, see, Austin, this girl right here, she's so smart. She brought a blanket. We should have brought like a little jacket or something. It's a little chilly. But I was like, well, let's just get a couple cute pictures. And we had brought our film camera because like it's just like a little Kodak, like crank twist film camera, not like a fancy one, like the one you just drop off at Walgreens for, to develop the photos. And we kept buying these photos and we kept forgetting to take pictures on it. So that was like kind of the joke. He was like, we have to take photos on our film camera. I was like, oh my gosh, you're so right. We've got to. So we're walking down we saw this cute little this little like cove nook, and we were going to take photos right there, and this couple like veers off and gets right in the spot. We were like, oh shoot. We were kind of just awkwardly like waiting in this photo spot. I feel like that's how it is in California. You're like always trying to like take a picture somewhere. There's just always like random people. They're like, I don't give a fuck. Skipping you guys. So we just like stand there and wait. We're like, okay. And so I walk over to, there's like a little bench, and it's like a little kind of alcove overlooking the ocean. It's so beautiful. Like you can kind of see like I keep trying to say mountain. You know how it is in Malibu, or not Malibu, like Laguna. It's like cliff looking. It was really pretty. And the sun was setting. We got there plenty of time, kind of close to sunset. So it's getting all like warm and goldeny. Well, Austin takes a picture of me on the film camera. And then he was like, will you take a picture of me on the film camera too? Because at first I was like, oh, do you want to take a selfie? And he was like, because normally like he doesn't ask me to take his photo. So I was like, that's weird. Okay. I was like, oh, let's take a selfie. He's like, no, I want a picture of just me. I was like, okay. So I take one, and I'm like, okay. And he's like, wait, could you take one more? I'm like, me in my head, I'm like, hey, this is a film camera. We only have like 10 photos left, but sure. So he's like, will you put your stuff down and like hold the flash? I don't think it flashed. I'm like, no, I totally think it flashed. He's like, yeah, will you just put your stuff down and like hold your finger on the flash? I need you to use two hands. I'm like, it's just the instructions, my guy. Who's the content creator here? And so I put my stuff down. I'm like, okay. So I hold the flash. I do what he tells me to do. I take the photo. As soon as I take the camera down, he's on one knee. You guys, I literally, I mean, you probably have seen the photo. It's on my Instagram. I was stunned, absolutely stupefied, stunned. And he just goes, hey, baby, will you marry me? And I was like, because at first he was just looking at me. He just got down on one knee, and I was like, what? I was like glitching. I was like, what? And that's when he was like, will you marry me? And then I'm like, I like, I'm looking at him because I'm like, I'm literally like in fight or flight, like not in like a scary way, but like I'm so shocked in the best way. Like my heart, I'm shaking. And all of a sudden I felt someone beside me, and I realized me. You guys, it was the cute girl that I was talking about with the blanket and the big old camera on her. Still didn't notice. I mean, I noticed her, but there's photographers everywhere in LA. Like that did not tip me off at all. And Austin was like laughing, because of course I was like, she's cute outfit. Love her. She got a blanket. It was the cute girl. She was the photographer. She was saving the place for us. Her and Austin had been texting. That was the moment. So anyways, he gets on one knee. He's like, baby, will you marry me? I am so surprised. I'm like starting to cry, and his little eyes are all teared up, and I'm starting to cry, but I am still so shocked that I couldn't even fully process it. Like I was having these moments where I'm like, is this really happening? Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. So I will say, I really do hope, like, girls, if you're getting engaged anytime soon, like don't look for it. Just like allow it to be a surprise, because that is the best thing. Like I told Austin, I'm like, we don't get a lot of like really amazing surprises in our life. Like we kind of like, I feel like you start to just know everything as you get older. And I was like, I was so fucking surprised. It's out of control. It's actually like, it's crazy. It's almost stupid how surprised I was, because I mean, I basically dreamt it the night before, and still I was like, well, of course he's going to propose soon. Like, bitch, tomorrow. Okay. So I told you the dream, buckle up. Here we go. So he gets down on one knee. He proposes. We're hugging. We're kissing. We're crying. I honestly think I would have cried more if the photographer wasn't like there, like pretty much being like, okay, she was fantastic, but she was pretty much like, okay, we got to go down to the beach and take photos, because me being the slow Austin trying to herd a cat, me, the cat, we were running a little late, and there was only like 10 or 15 minutes of sunset left. So like we had to go quick to take some photos. And so I'm just like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. I can't believe this. How did you do this? Blah, 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 blah. I can't believe you tricked me. I'm crying. He's crying. We're hugging. And I felt so bad. The photographer is like trying to give us instructions, and we are in our own world. We're like just talking to each other the whole time. We're like so giddy. We're like two just school kids. We're so giddy. Like we are giggling. Austin's like laughing and crying at the same time. It was just like, it was just so fun, honestly. And so we're taking photos, and we're like chaotically taking photos because the sun is setting, the tide's coming in. I'm like, I realized, like looking back, I'm like, I didn't even put on, like, if a normal AG who was not just absolutely in shock mode, I would have put on like a little lip liner, a little gloss. No, didn't think about a thing. Did not even try to pose. Wasn't thinking about anything. Was just like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe this is happening. Like looking at the ring, like, holy shit, I'm engaged. Why we're engaged? Like, I'm so happy I remembered to at least prop my phone up and take a couple of videos like behind the scenes because I'm like, Anna Grace, you're gonna want this. But I was also just so in the moment that I couldn't even like compute thinking about content. Like I was like, oh my gosh, not us going down and taking photos in a cave surrounded by beautiful turquoise water. So that part of the ocean is actually known for having, or that part of the beach is like much bluer water. When we walk down, Austin's like, yeah, this is like a really blue water. I'm like, some would even call it turquoise. And that was identically what I dreamt. So I'm going to post on the AG University page. I'm going to post the cave where all the photos were because you guys are going to be like, oh my gosh. Austin was literally like, I was so, when you told me that dream, I was literally, I couldn't look at you. I couldn't say anything because I did not want to give it away. But I was actually like so going to be so upset if your psychic brain spoiled this. And I was like, fortunately, my psychic brain was accurate per usual, which she always is, slay. But I do think that my intuition or my higher self or guides or someone was looking out and they're like, we're not going to give her too much. We're just going to put it in the ethers. And that way I'll at least like look nice and put on a nice outfit. Like somewhere my subconscious mind had my back, but I really did not know. So we take photos, we go down to the little cave area and it's I mean it was stunning, like the whole scenery, but it was also getting really dark and I was just blacking out, not even realizing what I looked like I don't even know. I didn't have any type of poses planned. Thankfully Erin, our photographer, was amazing. Austin just happened to search my followers and I followed her back from Arkansas when I went to University of Arkansas, and then she moved out to LA and was like a couple's wedding boudoir photography. I think I said that right. Boudoir shoots. I don't know. I might be saying that wrong, but you guys get it. So even that, he said it like worked so perfectly. Just like everything fell into place like so easily. And afterwards, after we took the photos, I was like, Austin, those photos, I'm so scared they're gonna be so terrible. Like I was like crazy. I couldn't even pay attention to what she was telling me to do. I was just like out of my mind. I was like, I hope we have a picture. Like I don't know. Okay. So we go to dinner, mostly on my part, not the photographer. She is incredible. But I was just like, I felt like I wasn't even paying attention. I couldn't. Like, we also almost, but this was the one part, you guys, that was really sad. We put all of our stuff down and this huge wave came. And I think it might have water damaged the camera where I took the picture of him right before he got down on one knee because the wave came in and got our stuff wet. I don't know. I'm going to fingers crossed and say a prayer that maybe it didn't happen and that the photos are still there, but that was one little tidbit that I'm like, I hope the film camera is still okay. But like I said, it was just chaotic. The sun was setting in 10 minutes. You get it. We go out to dinner afterwards at the deck, beautiful place. And Austin had gotten, like, we got right in. Austin had kind of already like prepared a little game plan for us. He said he had so much adrenaline and he was so excited, and I was like so just like shocked that neither one of us could eat. We couldn't even eat. We just sat there and giggled at each other. Like we were just like giddy. And even for the next 2 days, so he was only here for another day or two after that. He was here, he proposed Sunday and he was here Monday and Tuesday. And then he had to go back. And we were like skipping. I was skipping even the whole next day, Monday. I was still so like on a high. I could not eat. I really couldn't. I couldn't even eat anything. I was like, oh my gosh, I still don't even have an appetite. I'm just like so giddy. Of course, I woke up the next morning. It really worked out in my favor because it was so late here in LA. It was like by the time we like kind of had our own private time together, it was like 8, which was 3 hours, ahead. Would have been 11 p.m. Of course, I FaceTimed my family nucleus, like mom, dad, sister, but that was really it because I was like, we'll call everybody and like share with Instagram and everything tomorrow. Like I was like, let's just, go to dinner, even though like we couldn't even freaking eat. We were just like, I was just hounding him. I was like, tell me everything. Like, tell me, how did you plan this? How did you pull this off? Where did you get the ring? So my mom actually overnighted it to 2 days before we left. So like he really did somehow just like, and obviously he asked for my dad's permission. He called my parents, my family. We don't get to see them that much. So I don't know why I didn't think, Anna Grace, he can just call. And also they can mail a ring in the mail. But I was just convinced. I was like, Austin's not going to ship this ring because he kind of had said like, oh, I don't want to do that. We'll just like pick it up next time we're in Memphis. And then made this big hoopla about going to Memphis at Thanksgiving. So I was like, I see. Thanksgiving. You guys, he got me so good. I mean, he totally did that on purpose. Like he really threw me off the scent, even though my intuition was still trying to reveal to me the cave and the location. But so then it was really fun to run through everything and talk through like, how it happened. And I was like, were you freaking out when I had that dream? He was like, yes. What the heck? And he was like, I can't believe I got you to go to the nail salon. I thought for sure that was going to give it away. I was like, it was suspicious. Like, I was like, is he going to propose? And I was like, nah, not yet. Like, I was like, still. And then just the way we were headed to Laguna so casually, like we almost changed plans so many times. Like I'm like, somebody give this man an Oscar. I mean, wow, he was really so just nonchalant about it. So then the next day I got to film all my friends' reactions. And that was even the best. That was like reliving the surprise all over again because they really had no idea. And they were genuinely just as shocked as I was. So that was just like so fun for me. Because I told everyone, I'm like, hey, oh my God, you're never going to believe what happened to me. I have to tell you. And they're all like, oh my God, what? Tell me. Like they all think they're about to get like the hottest, most piping hot tea. And I just like put the ring in the camera and they're like, what the fuck? My little moon cluster, which I love her so much. The ring, like even like the first night after he proposed, I woke up and was like, okay, surely it's time to get up because I can't wait to call all my friends and tell them. And I looked at the clock and it was 3 a.m. and I was like ready to start the day. Like it was like I was a little kid at Christmas. And then like the whole next day, we were so giddy. I told Austin, I'm like, I know this sounds cheesy because of course I'm excited to get engaged to you and marry you and all the things, but like Austin and I have just had such a like we just met and we've just been like a freaking team from the beginning. Like I feel we act like we're married right now. Like I don't know. So in a way, I was always like, oh, being engaged and married is awesome, but it's not something like I don't have like a hidden Pinterest board where I fantasize about it. I just kind of knew the time would be right. It would happen. Like I don't know. It's just never been something that I'm super can't wait on the edge of my seat, like rushing things along for. But I told him, I'm like, I never knew getting engaged to you would make me this happy. Like I was euphoric. I really was. It was crazy. Like I had no idea that getting engaged. I mean, I'm happy because I know that just confirms that I'm on the right path because I was like, I never knew that getting engaged to you would just make me like this crazy happy because I am just absolutely stupid happy. So, and he was like, I feel the same way because he's always kind of been like, yeah, but we already like whenever he will talk about marriage, he's like, I already feel like you and I are married, and I'm like, I know, but like it's gonna be different when we actually get married. I do feel like the relationship's gonna change in a good way. And he's always kind of like, yeah, I could see that. But he's kind of like, whatever. But then now that after he proposed, he was like, okay, I kind of get it. Like this just feels so different. And the next morning he had a call. He was taking a call with something work related. And he was like, yeah, let me check in with my fiance. And I was like, oh, me, I'm the fiance. Oh my gosh. Like I feel so adult. I feel so adult. It's really crazy. And I am an adult. I am a grown ass woman at this point. I'm 30 years old. Austin is a grown ass man. He's 35. He'll be 36 soon, actually, coming up in December. So, anyways, which I do love our age gap is perfect. We're pretty much 6 years apart, but I think it's perfect because it's just he's always just been so like he's just always been so like sure of himself, just like a very quiet confidence that I love about him. Like he's very secure in our relationship, but also just so like I guess when I say quiet confidence, like not like a cocky, like it's just a very like he knows who he is and he is just my greatest supporter. And I know I think it's so cheesy when everyone's like, that's my best friend, but like he is my best friend. He is the person that I am constantly searching for him. Like he makes everything in my life make sense. Even moving to Florida, like everything about our relationship, I did not like choose that or see that coming, but it did. And just every part of me being with him he has made me such a better person. Just like our life together has brought out the best in both of us, which is just another, thing I just love to say. It's like Austin is the reason I 100% quit drinking. Like I don't know if I could have done it without him. Like he has just supported me and brought out the best in me always. And he is so intuitive. He doesn't claim it or necessarily know how intuitive he is. He doesn't hone his intuitive abilities as much as I tell him he should. But he's just like naturally very intuitive, and I just really, really, really value his opinion. And I think that's one thing that he and I both say is like we have so much respect for each other, and I've never experienced that in any partnership. Not to mention too, like he is just ultimate safety for me. And I'm just so excited to enter this next phase of our life, which all that being said, if you guys caught the last episode, our Akashic Records prediction for the month of October, not me talking about how magical October is and how if I could name it, it would be called New Beginnings. And like, this is just feels like a new beginning for me, relationship wise. I feel like for a lot of people, it could be new beginnings, career wise, new beginnings, lots of ways. But for me, it was this new beginning, entering this new chapter, wedding planning, and a new season of really just like a celebrating Austin and I's union and a whole new phase of our relationship, because it feels different, but it feels so good. I think it's good for your relationship to take different shapes and shift into a new season. So I was listening back like 2 days ago, editing the podcast, and I was like, expect the unexpected, and there's magic and all this stuff, and surprise. I even said the word surprise, and I'm like, me, I can be just flat out reading energy, doing readings, and I'm getting the messages. But it was nice that I feel like my higher self was protecting me from putting too much together, because I really did want to be surprised, and Austin really wanted me to be surprised. He wanted me to be shocked. He's also kind of like, he does like really sweet, kind of big gestures whenever I go out of town. When we used to live a little closer to the airport, now we're like an hour from the airport, so I don't expect this from him. But he would always be like, oh, like, and he would somehow always pull it off and surprise me. Like, he would always make up all kinds of crazy things. He'd be like, oh, Zane has a basketball game tonight. I can't pick you up. Can you just Uber home? Because I travel so much too. So he can't do it every single time. But then I would get off the plane. He'd be like hiding and jump out like and surprise me and have flowers in his hands. Like, he loves, like, not that he's a prankster, but he loves to do like a grandiose, big surprise gesture. So I knew our engagement would be like that too. Like, I knew he was like, I couldn't like pull out a letter and read you a letter about how much I loved you. Like, I wanted to just like you take a photo, you be like so distracted, and we just pop down on one knee, because he's like, you're so hard to fool. Like, you just are so intuitive, and we're so in tune with each other. That he's like, I had to just like do it on a whim, or else you would know. And I was like, no, but it was just perfect. When we got to dinner, it was like my favorite moment. He looked at me and he was like, was this what you wanted? Like, I hope this is what you wanted. Because like I said, I never really given him some vision of like what I wanted. I know some people do that. I think that's awesome. I think some people, have an expectation, they want to let their partner know, but I just didn't. I was just happy to be engaged to him at any point in my life. I'm just like, whatever. And so anyways, it was just such a pure moment. I was like, of course it was beyond perfect. I was still dumbfounded in that moment. And when I woke up the next day, I was like, did I dream that? I looked at my hand. I was like, had a ring on it. I was like, I'm engaged. Oh my gosh. So that is the full story of how Austin pulled off an engagement, and how my psychic brain almost spoiled it, but still didn't. But how crazy is that dream? I mean, it was just so wild. I've had so many dreams like that where something happens and it's like the next day or the next week. That's why I'm like, you guys never discount your dreams. Keep them going. Not to say that all dreams, like normal people, I have weird, crazy dreams that will absolutely never ever happen. But that one was just like so symbolic. And I loved, even that was just a synchronicity for my higher self of like, yep, this is exactly where you're meant to be. So it was truly more perfect than I could ever imagine, in the sense of Austin just looking so cute, surprising me and getting down on one knee, and me being shocked. And even the photos, the photographer, like like I told you guys, I was worried the photos were gonna be terrible. The photos are like insane, the best photos like we've ever taken in our life. Like, the universe is on our side, because I felt like I was like, do I look crazy? Am I? Because I was getting wet. Like, I was like, my hair's wet. I could look insane. They were phenomenal, like actually beautiful. I'm gonna post the cave to the Instagram, AG University Podcast, at AG University Podcast on Instagram. You guys can check out the cave and that's surrounded by turquoise water, because that imagery is freaking cool. Is there any other parts that I need to tell you guys? Let me see. Well, my cosmic cluster ring, I stayed on branding. AG University is a school from the cosmos, and I did go with a star cluster. It's only fitting, I had to. And I love that it's so unique. And even that, he was like, do you love the ring? Tell me everything. I was like, oh my God, I'm like crying. I'm like, I love it. And it's just so special. It has so many different parts, and like, it was like a whole family project putting it together. My mom and Lori drew it. There was parts and pieces from both sides of my family. It was just all so special. So I feel really, really grateful. And I just want to say thank you guys for sending kind words and just telling us congratulations and all the things. I'm so excited to start wedding planning. What the heck? That sounds so crazy, with my fiance. Still got to get used to saying the word fiance. So I just want you guys to know that there was many a years where I was just single, pretty much from like 23, 24 until I met Austin. So your person is coming, and the timing is going to be perfect and amazing. And I'm so excited for you. And what's meant for you is not going to miss you. So you're not going to mess it up. You're not going to make the wrong choice or right choice, whatever. It's just decisions every day. We're just moving. And as long as we have some awareness of, connecting with our higher self, then you're fine. You're going to end up in the perfect place at the perfect time with the perfect person. And I really do believe that. So thank you guys for coming to class today, all about synchronicities, timelines, and thank you for tuning in to listen to my I'm engaged story time. I cannot wait to tell you more synchronicities that have happened on this trip because there's so much juicy, juicy goodness. And also, doing my first live activation is happening. So, I will have a lot to say on the mic in the coming weeks. But as always, that's a wrap. That's everything. Thanks for coming to class. Share this with a friend who needs to hear it if you're curious about synchronicities. And that's all I got. I love you guys. Have an amazing day. Mwah. As always, I just wanted to say thank you so much for tuning in. If you feel so called or if it feels aligned, I would love for you to leave me a review here. I always love reading your beautiful thoughts and messages. And also, you can find me at Anna Grace Newell on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And I will link all of my courses, AG University course curriculum, in the show notes, along with if you're interested in booking an Akashic Records reading with me. My scheduling link goes out in my newsletter. It goes out once a month and it's completely free. I would love to have you there. As always, I'm a proud professor and you get an A+ for making it all the way through the end. Love you.